Ms. Horn chose to leave the party near the end of Donald Trump's presidency. Kurt Bardella left early, back in 2017. He has said that the final straw for him was the GOP's embrace of Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore. Mr. Moore faced allegations of sexual assault from multiple women. Bardella called GOP support for Moore, quote, all the proof you need to know that this is a party that no longer stands for anything, unquote. Kurt is a contributor to NBC News Think, the USA Today, and the Los Angeles Times. He's also senior advisor to the Lincoln Project, and he joins us now. Kurt Bardella, good evening.
Hey, good evening.
What's different now versus 2017? What do you think has changed in terms of Republicans deciding to leave the party?
Well, I think that in 2017, at the start of Donald Trump presidency, there was still some hope in Republican circles that there could be consensus. There could be Republicans willing to at least steer this president and steer this country in a responsible direction. But what we've seen, particularly since the election, is just the complete dismantling of a democracy. We've seen Republicans complicit, helping, actively aiding and abetting President Trump in trying to literally steal the election. And all the things that Republicans used to claim to stand for, whether it was constitutional conservatism or standing for homeland security and national security, and the events that we've seen in just the last 72 hours, where you have a president who doesn't acknowledge that Russia committed one of the greatest cyber attacks against our country's history. We have the continuing effort by Trump to now take this to the Supreme Court once again and try to invalidate votes, take votes away, completely defy the will of the people. And the Republican Party is just sitting there, allowing this to happen, not standing up to it. And I think for a lot of people like Steve and like Jennifer particularly, they've seen enough. There is no hope for this Republican Party. There is no saving the Republican Party. They've reached the conclusion that the only path forward for a healthy country is the complete dismantling of this current iteration of the party.
Take me back to the moment that you decided that you were done with the GOP and what went through your head, what went through your heart when that decision crystallized for you. That had to be a really hard day.
Yeah, I'll tell you, as someone who spent the bulk of his professional life working for Republicans, different members of Congress, been identified as Republican for so long. But there comes a point for me when we had that Alabama election a few years ago, and the Republican Party lined up behind Roy Moore, someone who was being accused, credibly, in my opinion, of going to the local mall and preying on local teenagers. Once you stand for that is a party, in my opinion, that stands for nothing that I want to be affiliated with. And to me, after the nomination of Donald Trump, then the election of Donald Trump, the Roy Moore fiasco was really the last straw. To me, there was no hope that this party would magically wake up one day, find a conscience, see the error of their ways. And so I knew that this would cost me professionally. I knew that there were going to be challenges for me personally about how am I going to financially support myself, what I'm going to do going forward, but I could no longer stomach having my name said next to the word Republican anymore. And so I made the decision then to speak out and to not just leave the Republican Party, but to join the Democratic Party.
We spoke to Michael Steele back in October, kind of about the state of the Republican Party. He talked about why he had chosen, at least in the past, to remain in the party and to remain active, to remain a voice. Here's part of what he said.
If you brought me to your home, I came to your home, however I got there, I guessed, you invited me in, I showed up at your house, and I started tearing up your floorboards and ripping up your family pictures and spitting all over, the stuff your mama taught you, breaking the family china. Would you kick me out or would you leave your own home? And so that's the nub for me.
What about that, Kurt? Do you feel like you are leaving your home to people so that they can disrespect it without you there to stop them?
Yeah, I have a lot of adoration and respect for Michael Steele. I've gotten to know him really well, and I get where he's coming from. I think for me personally, there comes a point where the home isn't worth saving, and a home can be rebuilt, things can be replaced. It got to be much bigger than that for me. And it became a place where I didn't want to even be in that home anymore. That things had gotten so contaminated, and the cancer that has become Trumpism had metastasized so broadly throughout the entire party that there was no iteration going forward for me that was going to make it okay to be a part of that, to be affiliated with it, to work in any way in tandem with some of those people. They had reached the point of no return, and I personally believe that that's the point where you just have to decide that you're going to go build a new home somewhere else.
Before I let you go, I can hear my Democratic friends, my hardcore Democratic friends in my head hearing your story and going, well, I don't know what the hell took you so long. We've been trying to tell Republicans for years that the moral decrepitude of the party made it not worth saving, whether it was their treatment of people of color, whether it was their willingness to demonize LGBTQ people to get votes, whether it was their willingness to start wars around the world that were unnecessary, whether it was their willingness to smirk at low-income people on one hand and then make tax cuts for the wealthy on the other. The fact that you finally come to realize this is cute and all, but if you had listened to your Democratic friends sooner, you could have spared yourself this heartache and just gotten with a party that made sense long before Donald Trump was on the scene. To people who say that, to Republicans who say, now I can't deal with the party, who say, well, it took you long enough, what would you say to them?
Well, I heard a lot of that myself when I left the party back in 2017, and my answer now is the same as it was then. You're right to feel that way, but I think that if you're the Democratic Party, what you want more than anything is to get your agenda forward, and the only way to do that is to build a bigger coalition than what the opposition, the Republican Party, is doing. And I'll tell you, if you want to build a coalition and get things done, having people who are willing to leave their side and come to yours, and if you greet them with, well, we told you so, and you should have done it sooner, that is not the way to get things done. I've been very fortunate that a lot of Democrats have been very welcoming of me and very supportive of me, and I hope that for those who are doing this right now, going through this, I hope that Democrats embrace them, welcome them, and give them an opportunity to prove themselves.
Worth noting, just as a quick look, the latest trend poll from Gallup shows that as of last month, this country is 30% Republican, 31% Democrat, and 38% independent. And that has shifted over the last few years. So clearly, there are a lot of Americans who are thinking over whether they need to have a party affiliation, let alone what party to affiliate with. Kurt Bardella, I appreciate you sharing your story with us. Thanks very much.